Hey, what is up, guys? And welcome back to another Magic the Gathering online league. We're back with Karn Eldrazi Ramp on the draw for game one. There's an interesting one. I mean, a Soul Land would make this really good, so we have 8 hits off the top. I'll keep it. Even a Utopia Sprawl would make this really good. So yeah, we'll keep this. We'll pass. So we should have roughly, what? Ooh, Broodscale. Okay. We need to get this command online ASAP. There's the Ugin Lab. Okay. So yes, we'll go Ugin Lab, imprint Ugin. We do really need to get this key command to X equals 2 ASAP, though. And so I'm going to Ugin Lab in case we draw into either another lab or a temple. Now we can hold the K command X2. Trying to think if they can win on turn 3. I'm pretty sure they can is the problem. Yikes. I need... So Kozilek's command, Eldrazi Temple, or not command, return. So we should have... So we have 7-10 hits. That's not it. Ooh. Alrighty. How do we proceed then? Do I have an out? I mean, I can feign having one. Otherwise, we need to just hope that they don't have it. Because need a land to equip and then they adapt. If they adapt first, then equipped, we'd be able to interrupt, but that is asking for them to have made a mistake, which I think is a mistake of its own right. Oh boy, oh boy. Having a spawn on board could save us. Alright, let's go Stomping Ground, Shock, and Malevolent Rumble. This way, if they don't have the Fleshraker, or don't have the K command, we still have the opportunity to interact. So I'm going to go Cavernous Souls here. Make sure we have an untapped land next turn. At this point, I'm going to pass. And we kind of just need to hope that we don't lose. As yeah, turn 3 on the play, very hard for me to deal with in a meaningful way. So yeah, if they have a Walking Ballista, a K command, or Glaring Fleshraker, dead. I mean, even if they don't have a land, but have the Ballista... Yeah, there's so many different combinations. Cast Rumble looking for a land. They find the land. Imagine they grab the temple. Because now they can play land equip. So they must have not had the land. So play land equip, trigger spawn. The next question becomes, do they have the K command or Ballista? If they don't, we have another turn. Whoa, 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 hold up, what? Why would they not? Weird. Yeah, I'll take the hit. Why would you... Okay. Huh. Weird. Well, in that case, when we play the Cavernous Souls, name Eldrazi. I can play the Talisman, and then K command X equals 2, or I can just K command X equals 2. Either way, we end up with similar amounts of mana, I suppose. Yes, so I'll go Talisman of Impulse. And cast K command X equals 2. Oh, I've made a grave mistake. Okay, so here's what we can do. Trigger. With the trigger on the stack. I've almost made a grave mistake. Thankfully, I realized that I can stack this in such a way where it does not matter. Then it triggers, but since the Broodscale's gone, it no longer matters. Okay, we're good. We're here. Hopefully they don't have another Broodscale. Forests, they have 6 mana. 7, 8, 9. They could push it up to 10, but they're not to Emrakul yet. I think a World Breaker hitting the blade would be correct. While I would like to Mycospawn first, I think the breaker is right. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. That we can get part of their engine off the board. And then we can Bajukabog as well to try and limit their potential for an Emrakul. Paying cost for Bauble. Bauble's fine. They used a Temple, meaning they don't have much in the way of Eldrazi spells. And draw. Exile the blade. So blade is now down. I will then Bajukabog, target you, and pass. Next turn we'll Soin Mycospawn, kick a Temple, and then repeat again. Bauble, draw a card. Soul-Guide Lantern, draw a card. Okay. We could also go after their forest so they can't play the Broodscale. That is another thought. That might actually be the correct line. There's a Rumble. Imagine they take a Glaring Fleshraker here. For this reason, we'll go after the Temple. That way we reduce the potential risk of a large K command. In fact, we might not even grab a Ghost Quarter, take out the second Temple on top of which. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Unfortunately, we're not at the point where we could Chrysalis and Mycospawn. What I will do first is attack with World Breaker, see if they want to block. Down to 15. I will kick with the Sowing Mycospawn. As I say, as I don't do that. There we go. So I Mycospawn, kick the Temple. We can Ghost Quarter and then hit the other Temple. Before we do that, Let's resolve the Myco spawn. We should learn our lessons from before. You find the waste. We'll play the land and pass. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. The question then becomes, do we sway Mega Spawn, kick the waste, or kick the forest? I think we just kick the waste at this point. Plays Yavimaya. Well, I guess we can kind of do both by hitting the Yavimaya. There's Ballista X1. Why Ballista X1? Makes me a bit afraid that they might have a Blade of the Blood Chief. Basking Brood. Okay, well now I need an answer to Basking Broodscale. I am concerned. Okay, less concerned now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 minus 2 would be 5. So what I'll do then is cast Writhing Chrysalis. Trigger. Karn the Great Creator. Ballista pings me for 1, down to 11. They have 2 cards that can physically attack Karn, so I'm not too worried there. What I am worried about, however, is this Glaring Flesh Rake, so I wonder if going EE for 3 might be relevant. We do have 3 colors here. That would clear the Flesh Rake. 'Tis a thought. So first off and foremost, I'm going to attack with Breaker and Myco Spawn. Let's continue to apply pressure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You're a little bit too close to an Emrakul for my taste, so we're actually going to minus Karn for Tormod's Crypt. Cast Tormod's Crypt. And Tormod's Crypt target you now. And pass. And pass. I should hold up the ability to respond. There's a situation where that is relevant. They will need to start blocking next turn. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Land would get me to 7 for the Ugin. 3 cards in hand. Playing cost feels like a K command. X equals 5. That's going to be 6 damage. That's a bit uncomfy. I mean, if they find another K command, I think we lose, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, so I can't. I don't think I would have been able to hit the Flesh Rake and. I guess I could have gotten rid of some of the spawns, I suppose. Maybe it would have been right for me to do so and get rid of the spawns to limit this possibility. Because, yeah, if they find another K command, we're dead, aren't we? Because it'd be an X equals 4, but the cast would then trigger Flesh Rake for the 5th. So yeah, we're dead if they found another K command. But doesn't look like they did. Huh. Okay, well, this raises an interesting question. Can I force them into a situation where they have to block 2 creatures? The answer is yes. So if I EE for 0 instead of 3, would that be a better play? Minus with Karn the Great Creator. Yes. If they had the K command, they would have used it, right? So EE. I'm going to cast Writhing Chris. Triggers. One, two, three, four, five, six, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Unfortunately, I don't have a 7-mana value spell, so I guess. Oh, actually, I could have sequenced this differently, couldn't I? Shoot. If I had gone. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Grabbed a soul land. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Soul land. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I could have cast their Chrysalis. Yeah, I actually probably could have done all of the above. Shoot. So I did misplay there. I could have applied a bit more pressure. You could play the Mega Spawn. I don't think it's entirely necessary. So let's go with 0. See if they have the K command. I do wonder if maybe going for 3 would have been better, but they would just cast the K command in response to the EE, right? Unless maybe they're concerned about a K command of my own. Interesting thought. But I had shields down before, right? So that's not a possibility. Not one that I can really think of. As I said, they're forced to block 2 here. If they don't, they lose. Okay. I think this should put us into a winning position. Ancient Stirrings. Finds, oh, Jesus Christ, okay. Finds a K command. Plays a temple. And passes to me. Okay, well, this should work. Actually, are we short one? We would be, right? So in that case, do we even want a plus on the talisman? I suppose not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'd be short 1 for the K return. They can block 3. And basically just leave the Soin Mycospawn to go through, but we can K return. Opponent doesn't even cast it. I wonder if they misclicked there. But yeah, so we did missequence the turn earlier where I could have, I think, kicked the Mycospawn and cast the Chrysalis and cast the EE. Would have been able to do a little bit more damage. Okay, so we want this member. We want Consigned to Memory. Cut an Emrakul, cut a Sire. Do we want to cut the Emrakul? I mean, I think it's a bit weaker in this matchup by comparison. And I guess we do have to cut one last thing. So we'll cut the Ghost Quarter, though I do like it in this matchup. Let me confirm that is correct based on the sideboard guide I've created. Let's see. Yeah, we just had to make a concession. Sire, Emrakul. Okay, so this looks accurate. Cool. Let's run it back then. Trying to think what opponent brings in normally. Probably Pithy Needle, probably Thief of Existence. I'm pretty sure that's about it, though. Thief of Existence definitely plays a significant role in this matchup, at least post-board. Yeah, looking back at the turn I'm thinking of, in this sequence, we had 8 mana, -4, -2. We would have had enough, yeah, to do all the above. I will keep this. This is a turn 2 Karn. And we can back it up with a K command as well. There's a Saga. There's the Blade. Early Blade is a bit scary, I'll admit. Ugin Lab. Imprint Emrakul. Cast Talisman and pass. And pass. Saga Trigger. They won't be able to make a construct this turn, which is good. There's the Broodscale. Consigned to Memory. So I can do one of two things here, right? We could Breeding Pool, Shock, K command, get rid of Broodscale. But if they have a third land, they'd be able to... I guess they can't play a Broodscale, adapt, and all in one turn, right? Well, I guess even just a brute scale into a equip walking ballista would prove to be an issue. So in that case, I think playing Karn is correct. So I will shock in the breeding pool and cast Karn. I'll plus Karn because they can adapt. It's likely going to mean that they're going to Pithy Needle Karn, but that's okay if that's all they do. Next turn we can K-command the Broodscale, get it off board. Hell, we can even hold up the consign at that point. That way if they have, let's say, a Thief of Existence, we're still in an okay position. Opponent's tinking hard. I will plus with Karn and pass. Only thing that would really mess up my plans here would be a Thief of Existence, but if they thief, it means they don't have another Broodscale. If they don't have another Broodscale, then we can command the Broodscale. So, give and take there. Interesting, Soul Guide Lantern. So they must have not boarded in Pithy Needle. Why go Soul Guide Lantern? No, their lands as well? Attack of the Broodscale. Karn down to 4. Casting, Stirrings, looking for a land. So yeah, they're land light. There's the Temple. Okay, if we can draw into a 7-mana value spell here, we can kick the Temple, stopping the... No, we do not. So in that case, I will... We want to hold up the consign. So I'll play the lab, no imprint. Done. Command. And Broodscale down. Do I want to minus Karn for a liquid metal coating? I think I do. Yes. We are going to heavily telegraph that we have a consign in hand. I think that's okay. Because if we just start shutting out their mana here, I think we're just going to win regardless. So I think this is a perfectly fine thing. Go liquid metal coating. Cast liquid metal coating. And then go to upkeep. Local metal coating, target temple. Float 1. And since they're land light, this should just lock them out, and we got the win. Okay, good 2-0 win against Broodscale. Only one missequence that I can really point out in game 1. That said, we'll be back for match 2. Alright, and we're back for match 2 on the play for game 1. I will keep this. I'm going to imprint. Do I actually want to imprint here? We could just go temple. Imprinting, though, is a good idea, so I will imprint Emrakul and pass. And pass. If we don't draw into a command, we'll play the Windswept Teeth fetch for a Levelant Rumble. Go over the Burn Willows. Okay, looking like, yep, Basking Broodscale again. I was about to say, I wasn't entirely certain what Hobo was on, but I could have sworn that last time we played against them, it was in fact Basking Broodscale. So I'm going to go with a Stomping Ground since we did draw into the return. I'm going to shock. They can't win next turn, so we'll go with Levelant Rumble. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll go with Null Drifter. And then pass. And pass. No reason to hold, however. There's an E-Temp. Obviously, drawn into a Karn here would be ideal. Is that an Ancient Stirrings or a Basking Broodscale? The Delighted Halfling. Okay. Does raise an interesting question, but this looks to be a K command. Trying to make sure I can't kick Mycospawn. Makes sense. Good timing, too, I will admit. I will hold... I think we have to hold the K return. Yeah, so I will go Temple, hold K return. Two, three. So this looks like a glaring flesh rake, would be my guess. Ancient Stirrings. I'm hoping that they don't have another copy of Blade of the Bloodchief, because ideally next turn we can play the World Breaker and get it off board. There is, however, glaring flesh rake. I imagine they'd play the flesh rake. Yes, it looks like that will be the case. Maybe not. Alright, there's the flesh rake at ETBs. Equip in response. And pass. Alright, so we now can go temp. Let's get that Blade of the Bloodchief off the board. So that way one fewer pieces of the engine are available. I'll not sweep. They do know about the Null Drifter. They know that I can sweep again at a whim. There's a Prismatic Vista. Fetch. Let's hope they don't have a Broodscale plus another Blade. 2, 3. There's another glaring flesh rake. It is. We can sweep again. So that I'm not too horribly concerned here. There's Ballista X1. Fine. Down to 17, down to 16. There's Karn, however. I mean, Karn ensures that we can't lose, right? So, we could do a few things here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Leaves 1. Unfortunately, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? Yeah. So 7 minus 4 would be 3. So we can't cast Karn and kick a Myco Spawn. Unfortunate. We, however, can just cast Karn and then set up for the sweep next turn. I'm doubting that they play Thief of Existence currently. I think that's probably the safer bet. I guess I could just create another blocker for Karn. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'd be able to return the Null Drifter on a whim. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so yes, let's do that. Well, it means we'd probably end up sweeping our Myco Spawn, but that's fine. We'll go Ugin Lab, imprint the Drifter. And then cast Karn. Do you want to sack your Ballista? You don't. I'll Bajukabog you to remove some types from Yard. Do I want to minus Karn is the next question. 4, we could push up to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I mean, a Tormod script does get us there. So I think that probably is where we go. And I'll go with a Tormod script. Confirming one more time, we do not have a artifact. So yes, Tormod script. And pass. No attacks. And pass. We'll be able to play an Emrakul, sweep their board, attack with Worldbreaker, and take control of their turn. Good position. So again, Basking Broodscale, win for game 1. We'll move on to game 2. Again, opponent will bring in some number of Thief of Existence, probably a Pithy Needle as well. And also, I guess, maybe some Haywire Mites. Emrakul, Sire, Ghost Quarter, and 2 Chrysalis. And run it back. On the draw for game 2. Yeah, I mean, this looks good. We have consigned memory available. I'll pass. E-Temp. E-Temp and Lab, good. But I think we're going to hold up the Misty Rainforest. Okay, well, here raises a question, right? Do we hold up the Rainforest for a Hedge Maze and Breeding Pool? I think we do. I think that is right. So I'm going to pass and hold. That way we can hold up the consign. Fetch the Prismatic Vista for a forest. Glaring Fleshrake. Fleshrake is enough of an issue where I think it is right to consign. Left unattended, Fleshrake can just outright kill us, and is part of the engine that will kill us once again. So I will consign the Fleshrake. And pass. Utopia Sprawl. So in that case, I think I will... One hand, I kind of want to go for a Hedge Maze to set up. On the other hand, we'll be able to go Windswept Teeth for a forest. That way I can sprawl for red. And then sprawl for blue. And pass. So now we'll have 6 mana next turn if we draw into a Myco spawn. And all the colors that we'll need to pretty much cast anything in our deck. Two for Rumble. Rumble does find a Blade of the Blood Chief if they're missing that. Looks like they were. Do they have a third land? If not, they might sack the spawn for it. There's our temple, there's the blade. Okay. A Sowing Myco spawn would be good here to kick the forest. Sire 7 Deaths. Slow, close but no cigar. And I can Null Drifter for what it's worth. Actually, I'll go Ugin Lab. I'm going to imprint the Sire. I'm going to evoke a Null Drifter. There's Karn, but we're short a mana. Jeez. Alright, comes down to next turn. If they have the Broodscale and another part of, or then a payoff, we'll lose. Of course, we're holding up mana representing Consign, Return, right? So they might be a bit hesitant, we'll see. That green source doesn't exactly bode well for me, though, I fear. Alright. So now they can equip. One problem though. I'm pretty sure they can make that spawn an infinite, can't they? Okay, well, no longer. If they would have adapted, instead they could have. So I'm going to tell them this. Show me command Flesh Rake or Ballista, and I'll concede. I can spell. Ignore my typo. Okay, there's Ballista, I'll concede. Yep. Unfortunately, we were just one turn too slow. Alright, team. On to game 3. I'll cut the gemstone and bring back in a chrysalis. Run it back. Yeah, just one mana short. Darn. Alright, on the play for game 3, I'll keep. We'll go Breeding Pool, Shock, Utopia Sprawl for red, allowing us to cast a Writhing Chrysalis if we want. The more likely that we're probably going to go for a Rumble. I mean, Chrysalis does ramp us pretty significantly. Yeah, let's go Chrysalis. And pass. and hold. Next turn, I'm of course inclined to play Malevolent Rumble to try and dig for something like Karn or a... actually, I guess we can't hit Sowing Mycospawn. Well, there's Basking Broodscale. Okay, so I will do this. We don't... trying to think here. Oh, this is awkward, isn't it? Yeah, we don't need the red. Because I can either draw 2 or I can rumble. I think it's right to rumble. See a bit further. We don't need the red. So we'll just Malevolent Rumble then. There's the Karn. Perfect. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Of course, he could play the Drifter, but better to play the Karn. Trigger Writhing Chris. Always yield to ones I control. I'll play Karn. The question now becomes what we want to grab with Karn. We have to assume that they have a Pithy Needle that they'll use, or grab the Urza Saga. Doing so means we could grab an EE, so that way we could pop the Pithy Needle. Yeah, I think that's right. Yes. We also could go Liquid Metal Coating, but that only goes so far in this instance. So yes, I think I will grab the Engineered Explosives, just to play around that Pithy Needle, and then pass. I'll hold up the ability to respond. Next turn we can cast the Null Drifter. Do you have the Blade, or do you have Pithy Needle? There's the Blade. Even if you have a... whatchamacallit? Thief of Existence, you can't win this turn. There's the Thief. You can equip, but I can pop the Blade. So this is fine. Yes. There's a Talisman. Okay. So, I can do a few things here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think I can play everything. 2, 4, 11, but this will add 1. So if we go E-Temp, I am tempted to first play the Null Drifter. That way I can see what we draw into. Let me just hold up the red. Cast. Hold up red. And cast Drifter. So now we can play Engineered Explosives X equals 1. And then simply... Oh, well, actually, this is a mistake, wasn't it? I'll still make a token after all is said and done. They'll still get the... Yeah. I guess I should have probably played that a little bit differently in retrospect. Yes. So, okay. Sack, trigger. Sack, trigger, activate EE, clears the blade. It still will give tokens to the Broodscale, which is less than ideal in retrospect. I should have probably sequenced that differently to ensure that the Broodscale would not get it, as to not grow the Broodscale. So give and take there. Yes. So slight mistake on my part. Because that could be relevant if they have another blade. Yeah, shoot. Cavernous Souls, name Eldrazi. So how would have I done that differently? 2, 4, 5, 6. K command for 4. Yeah, they've only been able to do a K command for 2 if I had done that differently. Because I would have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I still would have been able to play everything. Yeah, so I should have EE'd first. And then I should have done that. Yeah, so there was a missequence on my part. K return. So if I kick a Myco spawn here... Actually, would it be better for me to Null Drifter? I think it might be. Because then we can get rid of the Broodscale, the Thief, and the spawns. So let's do this first. I'm going to attack with Null Drift. Annihilator. Sacrifice a spawn, leap the 4. I will return Null Drifter to hand. I am going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, am I short, actually? Ah, shit. That's right. Because I am missing... I have 6 mana, but 6 Eldrazi mana, and that does include that. Ah, shit. Right. Boy. Well, that's awkward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Well, damn. If I had gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I could have kicked and swept, leaving them with 2. That probably would have been what was right. So we did missequence again. Ah, damn it. Now I have to decide between kicking 1 or sweeping, and the better choice is sweeping by comparison. So yes, we can go 1, 2, 3. In that case, I'll play... I could play this Myco spawn. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I can't. So yeah, I did miss sequence again. Okay, so we'll go Talisman. Yeah, if I lose, I lose. I've lost to myself more than anything, I would argue. And pass. I could K Command X1 here. One top, 0 bottom, that's concerning. They found a Glaring Flesh Rake. I imagine they go for that. The thing is, they know that we have a Null Drifter in hand to sweep. So playing it out would be a significant risk. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. 8 minus 4 would be 6. Unless we draw into a land, I can't kick and. Right? Chooses the Glaring Flesh Rake. And if they have the blade, they win. I made so many mistakes this game. And they'll pass. Sprawl does not cut it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Actually, nope, I want to not do this. I remember why. If I'm going to do that, I need to do it like this. And go blue. I'm going to go to combat before I sweep the board. Attack with Null Drifter, Annihilator trigger. I'll sack a spawn, I'll deal 4. I will now cast the Null Drifter. Draw 2. If they have another K command, they could strip the K return from the yard, but they don't, from the looks of things. Oh shoot, they might. They don't. Okay. All clear. That draws me another card from the thief. Okay, not what we're looking for. We'll play a forest. And I'll pass. And hold up the breeding pool to feign that we have a consign. That's problematic. I'll go for the hedge maze and rumble on top. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8. I think they have 8. There's the Flesh Rake. They have everything they need. Another Flesh Rake. That is fine. Let's start with a Rumble. And grab a Ugin Lab. So let me confirm something real quick, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 minus 4 would be 6, so I can't do both yet again. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Trying to think here if I can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We can clear the flesh rakes. The only thing that I'm worried about right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 minus 4 would be 6. So I could double kick. And I think maybe a double kick here is better than the alternative. Okay, so I think I will do that then. Can I double kick? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yes. I'll kick their green sources. Go for an Eldrazi temple. And then lab. No imprint. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Done. Trigger Chrysalis. Because this way, they won't be able to actually play the Basking Broodscale. In addition to that, I'm going to Bojuka Bog, target you. So this way, no chance of an Emrakul either. So I think I've stumbled through this game, but I think we may have gotten there somehow. Ballista. Down to 7. Attack all out. I'm going to clear the board with the Sire 7 deaths. Debating whether or not they want to keep a spawn on board. So we'll be down to 1. I'll take 1 down to 6. Alright. And yes. And Bone scoops it up. We'll take the win. Like I said, by no means my cleanest win. We stumbled through that game. I'll fully admit that. I was making some silly mistakes. Game 1, We had some sequencing errors. Not the biggest deal, but significant. Game 2, again, sequencing errors. Returning Null Drifter at the wrong time, stuff like that. So, we got there, thankfully, but it definitely could have gone wrong really quickly. Another sequencing error was casting the Null Drifter before casting and activating Engineered Explosives. We could have done that in a way that would have cleared the Blade of the Blood Chief before triggering it, which then gave them 2 extra spawns and 2 extra mana to use and dig deeper with the K command. So that could have also gone very much awry. So glad it didn't, but it very much could have. So things to think about, things to pay attention to, and, well, you know, as I say all the time, I'm by no means the best player in the room, but I'm always striving to be better. And in future matchups, these are things that we can then consider and think about more clearly as you've made these mistakes here and have been able to analyze them post-match. That's why I also always appreciate all of your feedback down in the comments. With that being said, we'll be back for match 3. All right. And we're back for match 3 on the draw for game 1. I'll pass. This allows us to Ugin Lab, Tuck Drifter, cast Talisman, play Temple, play Talisman, play Chrysalis, right? Yes. It'll be a little bit painful, but that's fine. Draw. K command. Okay. We got a lot of good options available to us then. Hallowed Fountain tapped. Preordain, Hallowed Fountain could be control. We'll see if maybe this gets hit by a force. If it does, it's not the end of the world, as we have the Temple to follow up with the K command. There's the force, hits the counterspell, so this would suggest it's control. Okay. Darkslick Shores. Is it Oculus? Or is it... Okay, so it looks like it's Oculus then, I would have to say. I think in this moment, what I'll do is I'm going to force check. They've already cast force once. It's unlikely they have a second. So we're going to force check here. And pass. That resolves, perfect. And pass. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to be off a little bit from Ugin. Not the end of the world, though. You'll be able to play the Writhing Chrysalis next turn. There's Ketra. So this is Ketra Frog. So I'm going to go Gemstone, name Eldrazi. Play Talisman, another force check. And then play Chrysalis. So this does mean next turn I'll be able to cast Ugin, exiling the Ketra. If Ugin resolves, we should at that point just have the game. And pass. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we will be able to hold back 2. Unfortunate timing on that. Thoughtseize. Very unfortunate timing. Paying cost for Prismatic Ending. That is fine. Ketra trigger for 5 cards in exile. We do need to remember that Null Drifter does count in this instance. Well, I will return Null Drifter to hand. I'm going to cast Null Drifter. Draw 2. It's not an insignificant amount of damage coming their way. Utopia Sprawl for red. Go to combat. Down to 5. Currently there's only 4 cards in exile. They need to reach, what, 7? Yes. And with Null Drifter being able to attack next turn, they'll have to start sacrificing permanents as well. I think we're in a pretty commanding position. Still would have liked to resolve the Ugin, but c'est la vie. So it does look like Oculus. Though it could also just be Ketra Frog. It's one of those things, like, at some point you just have to start calling, whether it be Oculus or Murktide, Frog, because Frog kind of is the cornerstone. It's interesting to see how these decks have developed. 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we draw into an Ugin, no good. But if we draw into any Eldrazi, we're in a good spot. It'd be also okay if, like, a Malevolent Rumble. There's a Murktide. Okay, so Ketra is online. The Murktide is a 7/7 as well. Yep, Ketra will attack, push them up to 8. Well, it does complicate things now, doesn't it? Yeesh. Well, shit. I'll pass. Yeah, that Murktide was well timed. Thoughtseize. Take a look at my lands, friend. Down to 6 with ya. Right now they're presenting 11 damage. Frog. You could draw some more cards and even pump the Murktide. That actually is a scary thought here. Right now they're presenting 11, but they could actually go deeper. Looks like they're not confident in that, so they're going to attack with Ketra. We will not block. Down to 11. Alright, let's see what we draw off the top. Well, shit. That's problematic. I'll pass. Not much we can do there. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, we would be short. Hero of the Worldbreaker. Thought about that if we had 10 mana, but we do not. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. They'll then float the Frog and grow the Murktide, which is the comfortable part. In addition, they'll also trigger Ketra to draw a card. So I guess this is more Murktide than Ketra. So we will be forced to block the Murktide at the very least, because they are now presenting lethal damage on board. The question is whether or not we block with a Null Drifter or the Writhing Chrysalis. The Writhing Chrysalis can always grow bigger to the point where they can't attack in, so I think we have to hold the Chrysalis. They could pitch 3 to grow the Frog, and then draw another card of Ketra. Also potentially growing the Murktide. Go to blocks. So block the Frog, block the Murktide, and at this point, pass to end step. We'll take the 4 from the Ketra down to 7. They can pitch 3 with the frog, and then float the frog again, drawing a card, pitch it to save the frog. They do put themselves into an awkward position. If I draw into a K command, I win. Well, no, they'll be up 13. Actually, no, I think I still will be able to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I think I might be able to. Fatal Push. Pushes the Chrysalis. Alright. Fetch with the Windswept Teeth down to 6. They're holding up 2 cards. We'll go Hedge Maze to set up our next draw. That is not it. An Emrakul would be lovely. Alright, and draw. Null Drifter would be able to block the Murktide and draw me 2 cards. So I think casting the Null Drifter is fine here. Short of a Shoot the Sheriff, they can't do too much. Draw 2 cards. Writhing Chrysalis. I'll play the Breeding Pool tapped. If only we had another Temple or a 7-mana value spell as well. The only problem is now we'll block the Murktide, sure, but the problem now arises if we don't have anything thereafter. I guess no, we'll still have the 2 spawns to block the Ketra. Oof, Sink in the Stupor. I mean, our only way to really avoid that would have been to evoke. No, even then, if we had evoked and played the Chrysalis, we then still would have had them Sing the Stupor to Chrysalis. So we had no blockers for the Murktide and lost. So, moot point there. So I don't think we had any good outs. Bring in Dismember. No reason to bring in the Jailer since it's not Oculus. We can cut the Ghost Quarter, cut the Gemstone, and run it back like this. I mean, I could cut Karn for something like Trinisphere. I'm not sure if that's relevant, though. So I think we just run it back like this, then. Karn is, if anything else, just something that demands to be answered, right? On the play for game 2. We'll let a 7-mana value spell here, but I'll keep this. I mean, I do want to go Verdant Catacombs and fetch for a Hedge Maze, but I think I'm going to have to go for Stomping Grounds instead. Just so that we have a red source. In fact, I'm actually tempted to go for a Forest. I think I might go Breeding Pool tapped here in retrospect. Yeah, let's go Breeding Pool tapped and pass. It's unlikely that we'll have to Dismember on turn 1. I mean, worst comes to worst would be a Tamiya, right? Flesh Strands, fetch. Do you have a Thoughtseize? No Thoughtseize. Turn 1, Preordain. That is fine. And draw. Sire. So in that case, I'm going to go Ugin Lab. Imprint Sire. Force check number 1. Force check number 2. Okay, if they were going to force, they were going to do it then and there. I think I will grab the Bojuka Bog. Actually, I didn't think about that. I kinda don't want a Bojuka Bog because yes, it stops the Murktide, but then we have to deal with the Ketra. Ooh. I'll go with a talisman question mark. The casting window is a bit awkward, but I think I will take it. And like I said, the bog is a bit awkward in this scenario. And hold Dismember. Next turn we do have a kicked Myco spawn, but they're holding double blue up, which does make me concerned for a consigned memory. Karn. Well, let's Verdant Catacombs fetch for a forest in case of a whatchamacallit, Harbinger. So in Myco spawn kicked. If they do have a consign, they can only counter 2 on the stack. They will fetch the Marsh Flats. They'll shock in the Watery Grave. Do you have a counterspell or a consign? Could be either here, but I think it's a consign. The next question then becomes if they give me the body or the trigger. And imagine they'll give me the body. Yes, that makes sense to me. I'll pass. Do they play Ketra? Preordain. It feels like they might be Landlight then. 0 top, 2 bottom, draw. Let's see if my suspicion's correct. Floodstrand, they may have drawn into it, but they do hit their land. So they really have no threats then. That's peculiar. K-Return. K-Return's nice, we don't have a red source. I guess we do have the Talisman, right? Let's start with combat. Fetch the Floodstrand could be a fatal push. Meticulous Archive. You have a fatal push. There wouldn't be a reason to do that now if they didn't. Okay, so that leaves me to start force checking. Talisman, no force. While I don't like exiling a yard right now because of Ketra, we do have the Dismember to back us up. So I'm going to Tormod's Crypt. And then Tormod's Crypt target you. And pass. And pass. So now if they Ketra and they don't have a force as backup, we can Dismember it. But at least now they can't play a Murktide. There's the Ketra. K-Command. I could attempt K-Commanding it. I'm tempted to see if I can bait out a consign or a force. White. Orange chant. Interesting. I mean, in response, I think we just dismember the Ketra, right? Yes. Orange chant will resolve. We'll hold up the K command as the K command can cleanly deal with a frog. I will go for a liquid metal coating. And then I will hold. You can use the command as a permission spell if nothing else. That's a frog. Relic of Progenitus. Can't be activated, though. So I could do a couple things here. I could try and bait out them pitching a card with the K return. I could also just K command now and see if they have the consign, right? You pitch a card to protect the frog. That tells me I'm right, that they have the consign. Okay. Draw. Stomping Grounds. Liquid Metal Coating. Most baited bait if I've ever seen bait. I will shock in the Stomping Ground. And we'll exile the frog. Plus with a Karn. And pass. And pass. Opponent's passing in full. Draw. I'm going to return Sire 7 Deaths the hand. Trigger on the stack. No. Do you have a counter? You do. That will resolve. All plus Karn. And pass. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we do still have Emrakul. There's a Delta. They should have held that in hand. There's no reason to present that to me. Emrakul. And opponent scoops it up. Alright, we'll take the win for game 2. On to game 3. Alright. Yeah, the bog is just questionable because of the Ketra. I think I'll cut the bog for the gemstone here. Yeah, run it back like this. Like when we have backup with like Dismember or Kozilek's command, then exiling cards in yard doesn't feel as bad. I'll keep. I'll pass. Go Forest Sprawl red. And then try and play both Talismans. Thoughtseize should take the K command. I think the K command is probably the most impactful card currently in hand. If they don't, then that would suggest to me that they believe they can play around it efficiently. But I think it's just the right choice. Yeah. Opponent agrees. Draw. E-Temp. So I'll be able to play the Writhing Chris on 2 in that case. I'll go Forest. Sprawl for red. So no force then. That's a force check. Plays a Marsh Flats. Fetch. Looking like a frog then. Shock. Yes, there's the frog. Alright, so we're clear to cast the Chrysalis then, and that will ramp us into a Sara's 7 deaths. We'll pass. And I will hold. And if they attack, I'll snap block. The question is whether or not we want to get into a war over it. Preordain. I don't think I do. I think I just want to stop them from drawing, if possible. And force them to pitch, what, 2 cards at least out of their 5? 1 top, 1 bottom, draw, land, 4 cards in hand. Interesting. They can bring it up to a 5. They give it flying. I don't think they've remembered that Chrysalis has reach. They can bring it up to a 5/6. We can bring ours up to a 4/5. They'll attack. I will offer the block. The question now becomes, what do you offer as trade? If anything. Pitch is a relic. Pitch a spell snare. The question now becomes, do we want to make this a war, right? Where we make this into a 3/4. Because like I said, they can push theirs up to a 5/6. So no matter what, the Chrysalis will likely die, but they'll be empty-handed, which is relevant. I think I'm willing to push this. So I'm going to sack and yield. There's a counter spell, so the Sire would not have resolved. Well, you pitch the last card in hand. There's the consign. So yeah, that Sire very much would not have resolved. Alright. Writhing Chrysalis down, but now they're top decking. If we draw into a K command, we're in a very good position. No K command, but it is an Ugin. I'll go Sanctum, Talisman. Talisman. And pass. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Meaning we're either casting the Sire next turn or casting the Ugin. We'll end up with 2 cards in hand, at the very least at the end of this all. Sewers puts a Floodstrain into yard. Combat. So 14. 2 in hand. And passes. Draw. Sowing Mycospawn. We pitched our Bajuka Bog. So the question now is, do I go Sowing Mycospawn in an attempt to get to a land for Ugin? Because Sire currently can and will become smaller than the frog. 1, 2, so 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We'd be shy of Emrakul by 3. If I kick the Sowing Mycospawn, however, we could at least get rid of the white source to stop Ketra. Do you have a consign? You don't have a consign, so that gives us some good information. A Cavern of Souls, I think, is right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, so let's go Cavern of Souls. That way, at the very least, Sire's Seven Deaths will resolve. We'll pass. Do you have a counterspell? They do not. If they offer the trade, if they don't flip the frog, then we'll snap block, of course. This tells me they don't have a consign, at least at that point in time. Of course, over the next 2 draws, they might find it. They can hit me for 8, theoretically. Down to 9. Finds a land. And passing. Flooded Strand fetch. If they have an orange chant, we're in trouble. Ah, shit. We're not dead, but that is troublesome. Breeding Pool tapped. I'll at least force them to float the frog, right? So they can hit me for 8 down to 1. Yeah, Orange Chant actually is a bit of a beating. They'll float the frog. Hit me for 5 down to 4. They'll draw another card. I wanted to cast this Ugin a lot sooner to guarantee that we wouldn't die. Frog hits down to 4. Casting. Another frog. Another frog. They could have a consign up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Confirming one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So no, I can't do that. Red. We'll go blue. So here's what I'll do then. Nope, not colorless. It is uncounterable. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'll say yes. And I'm going to grab an Emrakul. And pass. If they have a shoot the sheriff, we're in trouble. If they have a fatal push, they could push their own frog as well. Something to consider. No attacking. Null Drifter. Alright, let's see if they have it. Do they have the consign? Our turn, comrade. If you don't, 4 cards in hand. And opponent scoops it up. Oh, I want to say that was a pretty narrow win, but we got there. Alright. We'll be back for match 4. Alright, and we're back for match 4 on the draw for game 1. I'll keep this. I mean, if we draw into a soul land, we have the command for X2. Otherwise, we'll go Temple and then probably hold the Misty Rainforest. Also debating whether or not maybe we should go the Hedge Maze. We'll see, though. So we have soul lands we can hit. 7 hits there. Malevolent Rumble to hit. That is 10 hits total. Utopia Sprawl. That puts us up to 14. So overall, we have a good number of hits off top. Another K command. Not what we want to see, but that's fine. We'll go Temple and then pass. Meticulous Archive, okay. Keeps it on top, doesn't give us a lot of information. I'll hold just in case it becomes relevant. Living End, understood. Lush Portico, and pass. Okay. Gemstone Cavern. Okay. So, hear me out on a crazy idea that would force them to play around my graveyard. They would need an endurance. If I simply pass and pitch an Emrakul, they then in turn would need to either give me a free Emrakul, which I imagine is less than desirable, or to have an endurance as an answer. To my knowledge, I think they only play 1 endurance main, maybe 2 in some unique lists. So, we could do that. It's a thought. The other option, of course, is hold up K command X equals 1, which will allow us to get rid of the Curative Mysteries or the Generous Scent, respectively. They, of course, could have things like, I don't know, Street Wraith that try and build a wider board. Though I think Street Wraith, is it a 3-4? I want to say it is. So K return doesn't do much about it. So I think... do I want to do this? It's so dumb. But I kind of want to. I don't know if this is right. It doesn't feel right, but I feel like it might be. Because, like, they give me an Emrakul, what do they do then? Hi, opponent. It's an Emrakul in my yard. Do you have an endurance? It's like they could Living End, but they give me a 13/13 pro instant. Oh, no shot they're doing it? It's the Living End. Do you have endurance? They chose not to cast it. Alright. Cyrus, 7 deaths. I will go Misty Rainforest and pass. That's really funny. I will hold. And I imagine they just attack. Yes. End step. Fetch Misty Rain. I'm going to grab the Stomping Ground Shock. The next question is, do I want a K command? Actually, I guess I can just go Stomping Grounds tapped. Yeah, I'll go Stomping Grounds tapped. Sanctum of Ugin. So I can go one of 2 directions here. We can go Sanctum of Ugin, sowing Mycospawn. We could Bajuka Bog. So I think we go Sanctum. And let's get a body on board so we can block this Shardless Agent. You have a Subtlety. Do you have anything else? No. Okay, so here's the next question. We can go Bajuka Bog. But then we can't play a Sire. I think that's fine, though. I think Bajuka Bogging is fine here. Cuts off the number of cards they're going to have in Yard. So their Yard's gone. Three for Flare. That's fine. I mean, that puts another creature in Yard for me. This is okay. Street Wraith cycle. Attack for 2, down to 15. Another Soin Mycospawn. Like the look of that, because now we can kick it. We'll get rid of the green source. So that way they can't cast another Shardless Agent. I will go with a Cavernous Souls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That guarantees the resolution of Sire's 7 deaths. Name Eldrazi. And we'll pass. And pass. Alright, Worldbreaker. Well, let's go to combat. Attack of Mycospawns, see if they want to block. They will. Gets another body in Yard, of course. I will now cast Worldbreaker. Sanctum of Ugin trigger. We'll get rid of the Archive. Do I want to, guess it didn't matter. We could have played the Hedge Maze. I think we would have probably triggered, just grab either another Soin Mycospawn or another World Break, but we got there. I think me skipping a turn and just pitching the Emrakul really threw them off. I'll bring in Sign, Jailer, Trinisphere, leave Chalice in the side. Move all from sideboard. We'll cut the K returns. Because they will bring in Inevitable Betrayal, I will cut the Emrakul. Move to sideboard. Cut the Ghost Quarter. And then 2 Writhing Chrysalis, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check here. Oh, actually, that's right. I don't have a Living End section. We used to. I wonder if it's still in the other versions. It is. Okay. Cut the 2 Emrakul. I guess we didn't have the Trinisphere at that point, so we didn't bring in as many. We only brought in 6. Yeah, I think our only option is the Chrysalis, so we'll run like this. I mean, between the Trinispheres, between the Jailers, between the Karns, and the Consigns, we have our bases covered. It'll be very difficult for them to get to that point. There's Consign. We'll keep. We'll pass. Draw. Command. Would like to see a Soul Land on top. Sire to Yard and pass. Misty Rain. Fetch. Hedge Maze of their own. We'll play the Forest on the off chance that we need to replicate. There's the Riverwinder cycle. There's a land tapped. Okay. Soul Land. Breeding Pool's not bad. We'll play the Forest and then pass. And hold. Otawara. They're gonna hold. Draw. Gemstone Caverns is good. It's a color source. So I'll play the Gemstone and then pass. Curative Mysteries. 2 for Waker of Waves. The way they're stacking their yard makes me think that they might still be on Living End and not Betrayal. There's Otawara. For that reason, I am tempted. If they had gone for it, I would have been tempted to Myco Spawn for Bojuka Bog. They didn't, however. I'm going to try and resolve a Talisman of Curiosity. And debating whether or not we want to shock in the Breeding Pool. I'm going to say... I guess if I had, I probably should have left the Gemstone untapped so that we had a command X equals 1. I'll go Breeding Pool and shock. And pass. Again, holding up the consign so we can replicate for 2 times. There's Endurance. That's fine. So this does tell me that I think that they do not have... They may have not brought an Inevitable Betrayal, basically. I'll attack for 3 to start. Street Wraith cycle. There's Ardent Plea. I'm going to consign and replicate 2 times. Same targets, same targets. And pass. So you got your Ardent Plea, that's about it. Another consign. So, in that case, 1, 2, 3, 4. I will Sowing Myco Spawn. Initially I was going to kick the Myco Spawn, but I think they might have a consign available to them. So in that case, let's see if this trigger resolves. It does. Bojuka Bog, target you. You could also consign the trigger, of course. They do not. Do we shock is the next question. I think it might be right to, in case of Commandeer won't work, but in case of a flare. So I'll shock down to 13. We'll pass. And hold. There's an Ardent Plea. In response, again, consign replicate. This would suggest that they did bring in Inevitable Betrayal. Oh, I think I must have clicked replicate 1 too many times. Just once. I'm a little bit worried about a Commandeer. Speak of the devil, and it shall appear. I guess they actually can counter the triggered ability of Consign with Consign, can't they? Did they not? What just happened here? I'm confused. What just happened? Okay. So they must have countered... What just happened? Oh. So they did counter... No, but it would have... Oh, I messed up. Okay, so I see what happened here. They commandeered the Consign to counter the trigger. They redirected the counter, but the replicate trigger is still on the stack before the Consign, right? I click same target. However, because they changed the target to the Consign trigger, that's what I was targeting, not the Ardent Plea. So, unfortunate is what that is. Yeah, that actually really sucks. Damn. I mean, we had it, right? And we just messed up. Damn it. Well, that's annoying. Yeah, because the Commandeer doesn't move it around the stack. That is really frustrating, actually. So I can get rid of Endurance. I wonder if it's better... I'm gonna need enough. Trigger, target Endurance. Yeah, so they shouldn't have the Siren board, basically. That was a mistake on my part for not checking where it was going. I should have clicked rather than same target. Goes at me. This is actually good-ish. Actually, this is good. Because I should be able to now go up to 10 and then K command. This is good. There's Jailer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, actually, I can't. Okay, well, that's uncomfortable. I mean, they can't let me ult, is the thing, right? They can push me to 9. I mean, for 2, Jailer gives me 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I will try and resolve Soulish Jailer. Ugin target plea. Does Jailer resolve? This might be a Flare of Denial. Play Misty Rainforest, and I will pass. Misty Rainforest fetch, down to 25. Lush Portico. Alright, let's see if we can get out of this mess. There's Endurance, that is fine. 1 card in hand. ETB trigger, target. I'm going to fetch the Misty Rain. Do I need to fetch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? I don't. But it's not a bad idea to do so. Down to 9. Forest. K command. I guess I could have waited till after, that we could have shuffled back in everything. Ardent play. Okay, so we have 8 damage worth of blockers, which means Ugin will not get hit, I will not die, as it currently stands. Minus Ugin. Okie dokie. So let's go Karn. Null Drifter. Null Drifter. Sire. Jailer. Mycospawn. 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 Talisman. 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 Trinisphere. Trinisphere. Ugin. Worldbreaker. Worldbreaker. And done. Alright, so let's go Talismans first. I mean, short of them having, I don't know, Orange Chant, I don't think they can really interact with this all too well. And Punch is going to scoop it up. Okay, cool. We did get there. That was almost very close, and I'll use that as a learning lesson to be a bit more mindful to ensure that if they commandeer, consign, and that's something that I didn't really think about. If they had commandeered the consign, it doesn't recast it, it just keeps it on the stack. You take control of it. But because of how it works, the replicate trigger comes second always. So even if they take control of it and target the replicate trigger will resolve first. But the most important part that we learned there is that it does save the target from the opponent, meaning that we need to just make sure in those instances, if our opponent mistakenly commandeers or consign again for a similar purpose, that we do reselect our target for the cascade trigger. Just something to point out there, and a unique interaction as well that I didn't think about initially, and you might not have either up until this point. So if it becomes relevant at, let's say, an RCQ, you can point at this video as a good example of how that interaction works. We're not recasting the spell, you're just taking control over it. You gain control, you're not recasting. You can choose new triggers, but it doesn't change position in the stack. So, good bit of information there. A unique interaction that I didn't really give much thought to. Clearly, the opponent did either. It still ended up in their favor, but we did end up winning, so I'll take it one way or another. That said, we'll be back for match 5 and our potential 5-0. And we're back for match 5 on the play for game 1. I will keep Ugin Lab, Imprint Emrakul, cast Talisman, and pass. This way we can play Writhing Chrysalis on 2 and Null Drifter on 3. Island, pass, draw. Kozilek's Command, also good. Short of a consign, they shouldn't be able to counter this. Alright, Chrysalis on board. Plays a whoa. Yep, that's what I thought. This is Merfolk. Alright, this is fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Mycospawn. I'm going to kick the Mycospawn. Oh, I messed up there. Kick. Kick their island. Search for a land. I'm gonna go with Eldrazi Temple. Chrysalis trigger. Tis a 4/5 and attack for 4. This way, if we draw into a land, we can cast Null Drifter. There's an Otawara. No attacks. Temple. Let's go to combat. Drowner. Drowner will tap the Chrysalis. I'll attack. Play Temp and cast the Null Drift. Triggers. Draw 2. There's a KGC. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to sacrifice the Sanctum of Ugin. And I'm going to grab... Let's go Cyrus 7 Deaths. ETBs, unless you have a Flare of Denial. If you do, the question then becomes, do you sacrifice the Tide Shaper? Yep, and we'll pass. Now they could shuffle in the Writhing Chrysalis. That would be fine in my opinion. Cavern of Souls. Merfolk. Harbinger. It does make things a bit awkward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Go to combat. Do we want to go to combat? That's a good question. I'm gonna say no. Play a forest. Play Karn the Great Creator. What can I grab of Karn is the next question. I mean, I could grab EE, but I'd only be able to EE for 2. That doesn't really do too much. We could grab Codeine and start just knocking things down. We also could grab Soulish Jailer as a blocker. That is tempting. All minus KGC. Well, I think going coding makes sense here. I'm tempted to actually hit the Drowner, but we'll just coding the Otawara and pass. That way, if they do attack into the Harbinger and we block, then they don't have a blue source outside of the Cavern of Souls. There's the Lord of Atlantis. They now have Island Walk. Attack Karn, attack me. They could still shuffle up the Chrysalis, which is relevant, but they choose not to. Rumble. That will give me the K command if this resolves. Does it resolve? It does. They're sowing Mycospawn. Hold on. 1, 2, 3. Yes, so I can cast this. No, but I want to scry draw. Ramp and exile. I feel like they would have countered that. Trigger. Done. Harbinger down. Okay. Do we want to attack into the Writhing Chrysalis? Probably not here. I will pass. Another Drowner. We'll tap the Chrysalis. That is fine. No attacks. Do you have another Harbinger is the question. If you don't, we're going to sweep the board next turn. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Mutavault. This is all fine. Mutavault. Still fine. Go to blocks. Block, block, block. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, so we can just block all here. And before damage, sack, trigger, and sack trigger. I guess I can... I guess I should have actually... That doesn't matter too much. Done. Put it on top. Alright, opponent. Well, I am going to go Let's see here, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 minus 4 would be 5, so I cannot play the Myco Spawn. So in that case, Emrakul or Sire? I think I'm going to go, actually, World Break. And we'll get rid of the Cavernous Souls. And then sweep. And pass. And pass. Sprivic Springs tapped. And draw. I mean, this is lethal damage on board, so I'll just attack in. I have to block. Tis not an option. Get rid of the Sporific Springs. 2, 4, 5. Grab a Temple. Imprint and Emrakul. And cast Sire 7 Deaths. And opponent scoops it up. Yeah, I mean, we have no reason to cast Emrakul right away here. We can just kind of beat them down. So no matter what they do, they're just dead. Okay. Merfolk. Been a hot minute since I played against them. Bring in Dismember. They do sometimes play Aether Vial, where Karn could be relevant. Ghost Quarters could be relevant, but Jukabog is not. We can cut Jukabog. Yeah, I'm debating on Ghost Quarters or not. Like, it can hit a Mutavault, which can be relevant at times. So maybe cut an Emrakul? Yeah, let's do that. And run it back. We do need to be a bit more mindful of the Harbinger. I will keep. And pass. Merfolk. Temple. So I want to go Stomping Grounds, but I'm a bit afraid of them tide shaping the Stomping Grounds. So instead, I think I want to leave a bit of bait. If we go Lab instead, tuck the World Breaker and pass. And hold. Let's see if they have the Tide Shaper. Cavernous Souls, name Merfolk. Okay. So they reveal Flood Pit Drowner. They'll draw a card. That is fine. Pass. Dismember. Dismember is relevant. Wondering if we want to go Stomping Grounds tapped. Or not tapped, but untapped, and then Rumble, and hold up Dismember instead. However, they have a Harbinger. We're going to want to get as many chances at it as possible. So I think we go Stomping Grounds, Shock, and then pass, hold up, return. There's an island. Do they have the Harbinger? They should attack first before they cast it. They're going to do so. I'll take the 2 down to 16. Second main. Spreading Seas. I could return the World Break. It's probably correct. It's unlikely that we get Spreading Seas off of it, at least in a meaningful time frame. I will return World Breaker to my hand. Becomes an island. That's fine. I think they should have gone for the Stomping Ground, honestly. And draw. Another World Break. I'll play the Temple. And again, I want as many opportunities as possible for this Kozilek's return, so I'm going to hold. Would like another land if possible. Oh, actually, a Null Drifter wouldn't be bad here. Okay, so Master of Waves, ETBs. Goes the combat. I'm going to cast Return. See if we can sweep the Master of the Pearl Trident. If they have a consign, that's fine. Yes, so we eat the consign. That is not the end of the world. We'll take the 3 down to 13. We'll have other attempts at the consign, though. Draw. Talisman. So I think we want to rumble. I would really prefer that to be a land, of course. We could Talisman first. That's a thought. I'm going to Talisman first, see if this resolves. And then I'm going to attempt to... I guess we can go Utopia Sprawl. It's a little bit of feel bad. This does get turned into a... whatchamacallit? Island. For green. And then rumble. So I think we go Null Drifter in that case, because we are guaranteed to be able to at least evoke Null Drifter next turn. We can also hold up Dismember right now, in case it becomes relevant. They do have Island Walk, so I can't block, unfortunately. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Should we take the 5 is the question. I can block the Master of Pearl Trident. I'll take the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I would like to be able to cast... I'm actually going to block the Master of Pearl Trident. We're going to do that. And if they play the Harbinger, that would be fine, because we can still evoke the Null Drifter. Land, Sprawl. Close, but no. I'm going to evoke first. Draw 2. Do you have a consign? You don't. Maybe. They wouldn't let me draw 2 if they did, though. We'll sweep. Evoke trigger. Play a forest. We could play Karn. Karn is an option. They do have the Flood Pit Drowner. I do want to be mindful of that. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. So we do have 7 mana next turn for, let's say, Sire's 7 deaths. We could go black. I think he will go black for Dismember. We have the red with the Talisman, so I'm not as worried about that. Paying cost. There's the Drowner as expected. And another Drowner as well. So we're at a theoretical 5 right now. You have a Lord. We take 2 to mitigate 2, unless they have a hard counter, right? If they have a hard counter, it means they wouldn't be spending it on the Sire, though. Is that I take 2 to mitigate 2, so it's net neutral, realistically speaking, just less damage we have to worry about next turn. They let it through. Draw. Another Sprawl. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sprawl. This time for red. I could go World Breaker and get rid of the Spreading Seas. Or at least attempt to. Do you have a consign, or do you have a counter? We're hedging our bets right now with this Sire. At least this way we won't have an island on board. Paying cost for what? Merfolk spell. Could be a Tishana's Tidebinder. Counters the trigger, but will still have the 5/6 reach body on the board. However, if they have a Lord, we lose. Sink in the Stupor. That's 5 damage. We'll lose regardless. Unfortunate. Wondering if maybe there is a better play. They would have been able to do the same thing to Sire's 7 deaths. Yeah. Yeah, okay. We'll cut the gemstone for the Emrakul and run it back. On the play for game 3, I'll keep. Do we want to go Windswept Heath first, or we want to go Lab first? I think we want to go Lab first, because that way if we draw into a temple, we'll be able to play the K command. We'll still be able to hold up Dismember as well. Then Windswept Teeth will be able to hold up for the K return. Ugin Lab, Imprint, and pass. And pass and hold. Island, passing. Draw. Play Windswept Teeth. So we're looking for another 7-mana value spell then. Cavern of Souls. Name Merfolk. Casting Master of Pearl Trident. ETBs. Do I dismember that? I could also K command it. Or we could K return it now. I'm tempted to dismember that. I think I will. Windswept Teeth, fetch. Stomping Ground, tapped, and pass. Sanctum of Ugin will play Sanctum. And hold the K command and the K return respectively. Three. In response, float. It ETBs. K return. Harbinger down, draw. Another K return. I'm tempted to go K command X equals 2 to scry draw. Though I'm a little bit worried about a force, so I think for the most part they don't play force, they play Flare of Denial instead. Would allow me to hold up the K return. So trigger, cast. At least X equals 2. Done. Do you have a force? We're clearly telegraphing that we have another return, right? They do have a force. Interesting. Well, that's unfortunate. Now, like I said, I'm pretty sure that for the most part they played flares, but I guess not. If they have another Harbinger here, that actually will be problematic. Spreading Seas is actually fine. I do think they probably should have gone for the Stomping Ground once again, rather than the Soul Land. But that's my take. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cast Karn. Do you have a consign? Draws a card. That's desperation. Sinks in the Stupor. Okay. They have one card left, so they're top decking. Again, a Harbinger would be a problem. They're passing. It's a reactive hand. Talisman. Paying cost. That's gutsy. 2 for a Flood Pit Drowner. 0 cards in hand. I'll pass. One card in hand. Paying cost 4. Hide Shaper. If you make this Stomping Ground, yeah, that's the right move. Because now I need a Talisman. Forest. pass. We're in trouble now. So we're taking 4 damage per turn. I need a Talisman of Impulse specifically to deal with the current board state. I guess also a K command would do. They are paying cost though, which is a bit concerning. There's a Master of Pearl Trident, that's 6 damage. They now have lethal on board. Alright, Talisman or Bust. I guess also Null Drifter. Null Drifter, Talisman, K command. Unfortunately, I think that might just do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Unfortunately, as has happened seldomly, but will be the case here, if Ugin was an Eldrazi, this wouldn't be an issue. But Ugin is not an Eldrazi. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, not 7. The consign, in my opinion, was aggressive on that talisman, but it did pay off for them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. No red source since they Tide Shapered the Stomping Ground, which does mean that we are dead. Damn. That's unfortunate. That is 8 damage down to 0. Or down to -1, more accurately. I mean, I suppose I could have held the talisman rather than tapping out. Maybe that would have been smarter to ensure that we held the K return. I mean, I guess if I hadn't done that, they still would have had the consign to counter the K return. So a bit of a moot point there, I suppose, right? Yeah, that's a hard one. I dismembered early as well. Maybe I shouldn't have been as aggressive with the Master of the Pearl Trident. At the same time, if I had done that, they definitely had the flare. So we're trying to play around the flare and deal with things one at a time, and it did work out because of that. Because they forced both the Karn and the K command. Right. Interesting. Yeah, that's an awkward one. I mean, they were top decking there, and they just top decked the best cards possible. So I can't really say too much because, yeah, once they played the Drowner, they were just on top deck mode. They drew into the Tide Shaper. They drew into the Master of Pearl Trident. So I think at that point, we played correctly, I would argue. Maybe there were some different lines that I could have gone through, but unfortunately it did not matter. So we do lose out on the 5-0, but still 4-1 record at the end of 5 is very respectful. I'm very happy with the way the deck performed. We definitely had some sloppy play here and there, but overall we were able to look back, analyze, and get a good feel for what we could have done better. So I'm happy about that. I mean, our main game losses, Merfolk in game 2, I'm trying to remember if I had an out or if it was just consigns were hitting me right. No, I mean, they just had to sink in the stupor at the right time. Yeah, I'm not sure if I had anything else to do in game 2 against Merfolk. Living End, obviously, we just learned that little tidbit about Commandeer. Murktide lost game 1. It was the Ketchermos beats. Don't think we could have done much there because they thought seized our Ugin, which would have been a huge boon. And we lost game 2 to Broodscale, and from what I remember, I don't think I could have done anything there either. So yeah, I think for the most part, we've addressed our sequencing errors here and there. I guess there was that one significant sequencing error again, the Broodscale matchup that could have went wrong, but thankfully did not. But we've gone over that in detail post-game, so don't feel like we have to do that now. So, with that being said, that there will be the end of today's video. As always, if you guys did enjoy it, please do consider hitting the like button. Comment down below if you did see any lines that I missed, any mistakes that I made, or any general feedback. It is always appreciated. For as much as I hope that you all learn from me and both my success and failure, I hope I can learn from you all as well. Last but not least, if you have reached this point in the video and haven't already, please do consider subscribing. We're getting closer and closer to our next goal of 1,000 subscribers, where I can start monetizing these videos and saving up towards a streaming PC. In the meantime, if you do want to support me monetarily, you can do so over on my Patreon, where you can get early access to my YouTube videos and any updates I make to my sideboard guide and deck guides. With that being said, I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye!